Well, LeBron took the day off because he was hurt. The Nuggets did not look good for a while, but then Will Barton and Nikola Jokic happened. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you should go and join the show. You get notifications, turn on, join the show, bring us your takes, bring us your comments, join the party happening in the chat most weeknights and Sunday nights. And make sure you give us those 5-star reviews as well. We always love those too. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by my colleague Adam Mares. You can follow his work on Twitter at Adam_Mares. And we're here to talk about the Denver Nuggets, who got the win over the Los Angeles Lakers. They bounced back from the loss in the biggest game of the season on Friday night, 129-118 over the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James does not play in this game due to an ankle injury when his team desperately needs to win every game.
I love how much this is
to make
stuck in your craw.
Look, if he really couldn't go, I get it. It's just I've seen what the man has done, and I'm not necessarily I get it. It's just like you're trying to pick the plan, and it's like if it was a back, okay. If it's a knee, okay. If it's a foot, okay. Like if it's something where you're worried about like a lot of injury concerns, but like an ankle, bro, that's your team really good because they could have won this game. The Nuggets didn't play great. They didn't, and they could have won this game, but they did not. And now the Nuggets' magic number is 2. To wrap this into a little bit of a bow, if the Nuggets win 2 more games, they are out of the play-in and into the playoffs. If they win 1 more game and the Wolves lose 1 more game, the Nuggets are in the playoffs. If the Nuggets don't win any more games and the Wolves lose 2 of their final 3, the Nuggets are in the playoffs. Is very likely at this point. We'll have to see what happens, but for sure, this win goes a long way towards putting them in a great position to make the playoffs. Let's start with Nikola. I want to start there.
Sure. That's a good place to start.
Because it's always a good place to start with the man who I will tell you right now off the top, I believe that he won the MVP today for sure. A lot of eyes on it.
If that is true, I think deservedly so. Like, I mean, I've said long, like Giannis, Jokic. I think Embiid is, in my opinion, is now 3rd, but whatever. Throw him in there. They've all been great. But to me, this run Jokic has been on when they needed him most, and in particular, kind of punctuated by tonight. There's just, I hope you're right. The sports books certainly seem to agree with you.
Yeah, his odds moved considerably. He's 250 or better now in most of the books. Doris Burke caping for him live on broadcast on ABC.
It's funny, Matt, because whenever you get you get any of these guys, it's like whoever's playing, the broadcast team will sort of hype that player up. Like they'll kind of do this. I feel like Doris was almost caping. It wasn't just he has been, is this or that. Like she was almost caping for everyone to vote for him. I thought.
Yeah,
her caping was a little different.
I agree. Stan Van Gundy, TNT analyst, very active today as well on Twitter talking about it. I just don't know that there's going to be a lot of resistance at this point. I think there's a lot of, in part because Embiid slipped just enough. Giannis losing to the Bucks or to the Mavericks rather helps probably a little bit just to slow him down because his week last week was absolutely phenomenal. I think it's very close between. If I was to do if it was my vote, I would be very close on Jokic and Giannis. Like I would be really close because I just think that Giannis has been that incredible. Like this last week from Giannis really was just part of it for me is not recency bias in terms of those individual games. It's looking at what he did and realizing he has been doing this all year. Like Giannis has been this insane all season. But then additionally, Jokic again. 38 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Did have 7 turnovers, was a +7. 15 of 22 from the field. He almost hit a 3. So that close to hitting a 3, but his foot was on the line. I will ask you this. I understand the numbers, okay? By Jokic's standards, how good do you think he was today?
Fantastic. I mean, he had a bad first, especially like 5 minutes of the game with those turnovers. It was a really weird start from him. But I think like if you just erased that stretch of it, then I mean the game was absolutely ridiculous. In fact, I just pulled it up. Let me see if I can just like fast forward to the second quarter and beyond and see what the number said he was. Because like I said, those turnovers, they were really, I always push back about whether they're sloppy or unsloppy. Like tonight, they were sloppy turnovers. They were just like, forcing things that he didn't need to force. But yeah, if you just go fast forward, and by the way, first quarter, he was scoring and rebounding extremely well. It was just the turnovers were so bad that they kind of like canceled out the good things that he was doing. But if you get past that first quarter, so in the final 3 quarters, which by the way, the second half in particular, we're like, okay, now it's time to see, who has it or whatever. Like those were the pressure moments. In just the final 3 quarters, he had 28, 11, 6, 2, and 2 on 11 of 16 shooting. So and only 2 turnovers. So it was that first quarter, he gets 5 turnovers. The rest of the game, he gets 2, but also 28, 16, and 6. Like he was just absolutely fantastic. And I understand why this is the funny thing about Jokic. This has happened so many times this year where Jokic has had like a bad first quarter and it's tainted everybody's like perception of what kind of a game he had. This was a dominant game for Jokic minus those turnovers.
Instead of starting with what I want to start with, I will go here instead. He had that fadeaway shot over Anthony Davis. That's 1 of 1. Like that was absolutely like ridiculous. That fadeaway shot from the left, from the free throw line, that was unbelievable. The putback late was obviously massive. I mean, he was the scoring was really berserk. He had like the face-up shots. Like this is one where, and it really does kind of show you how much better of a player he is today than he was even in the bubble 2 years ago.
I agree.
Did AD and Dwight Howard give him trouble? I would say yeah, because they're freakishly long and absolutely massive. Did it matter? No, it didn't matter.
That's why that's why to me, like I throw out, I'm not trying to say he didn't have bad turnovers in the first 7 or 8 minutes that he was on the court. I'm not trying to, what is important to me though, is that when it mattered, he looked like he knew exactly how to attack both of those guys. Yeah. Like down the second half, he was just like, here's where I go on this guy. Boom. Okay.
Man, I love that what he did. The big adjustment in the second half was that he would use the reset on the catch. Like he would catch it in the pinch post, survey, realize where his defender was, usually Dwight, and then start moving. Like he would catch him off guard because he wasn't expecting him to move. You get Dwight Howard where he's not defending the post, and Dwight doesn't have the speed anymore to keep up with him. He got on the move. That adjustment is so huge. When they get him cutting and they can get him the ball on the catch, no individual defense is going to be able to stop him. It's either that the defender is too small. If they're fast enough to defend him moving, they can't handle him in the post. And if they're big enough to handle him in the post, they can't handle him off the catch.
Right.
So I thought it was phenomenal. It's funny. Today was a rare occasion. You texted me and we're like, these are the turnovers that I think are bad in that first quarter, which is funny because like my end result, and I'm pretty consistent with this, is I actually do not care about the turnovers today. And the reason I do not care about the turnovers today is because they were mostly dead ball. I do not care if they turn the ball
I think you
misrepresent
or misunderstood my comment though, because sometimes like the fact that they were dead ball turnovers, most of them early on, was just dumb luck. Like he threw bad passes or forced it and the ball went out of bounds. So to me, yes, you are right about were they damning, were they hurting you? Maybe not as much as you would think, because usually turnovers can be live ball, but it wasn't because Jokic did anything different. It's just the ball fortunately bounced out of bounds.
That's fair. But like 15 points on, I compare this like 15 points on 12 turnovers to the 30 that the Wolves got. And it's like, that's all you got to do, man, is like, don't give them 30 points a game in turnovers and you're going to be in a pretty good spot. What did you think of his defense? There was actually more than one person that commented on this that kind of reinforced my thought, which is like, I wasn't crazy about his defense today. I'm not like trying to like nitpick him because again, like 38, 18, 7, 6, 2, the man was insane. Right. But, I did think that he had some trouble early on. The whole team was bad as it has been for weeks, but I thought that Jokic in particular usually kind of is like a stopgap, and he was having some trouble. I thought when the Lakers got downhill, which some of that I don't know how much to put on him because I don't know if he should be expected to be the stopgap.
Yeah, I mean, my only note on him defensively is that fourth quarter. So nobody was good. Like Denver didn't get any stops this whole first 3 quarters of this game. They just didn't get any. So I didn't necessarily single him out as one of the bad, as like specifically bad. But what I did single him out is in the fourth quarter, I thought he was phenomenal. He is a great post-up defender. Anthony Davis posts up. I can't remember who it was. I think it was like Will Barton or somebody, and scores. And I'd be curious to know if Jokic asked for the assignment or if the team just switched him back. Like if that was the thing
Aaron, where it was Aaron on that post up turnaround.
Was Aaron, it was Aaron. And I'm curious if Jokic was like, looks up at the clock, sees 6 minutes or whatever it was, 5 minutes, and goes, okay, cool. Let me get him. They're going to play through him down the stretch. And I don't know if Anthony Davis scored on him. Like he posted up 4 or 5 times, and Jokic just had such great defense in the he's a very good post up defender. And so I thought he was good there. Nobody was good defensively for the first 40 minutes of this game.
No,
so
they were not. It was really bad. It was really bad still. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back and we'll get into the ramifications of this game. But before that, we'll dive into some of the supporting heroes from this game.
Yes.
Because 2 guys in particular really stepped up and helped out Nikola Jokic to get this win today. We'll do that when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. But first, I've got to tell you about Built Bar. It's that time. Yes. Oh, yes, it is that time. It's Built Bar. Okay, so you're getting outside more. It's still late winter. I'm not letting my guard down, but boy, has it been a nice late winter so far. I'm definitely positive we're going to get snow in May. Just want to be clear on that. But while it's been nice here in Colorado, you should definitely be getting outside and enjoying your weekends, at least as much as you can around the playoffs, which are set to start in 2 weeks. I think if you are wanting something to keep you up when you're on those hikes or bikes or whatever it is that you do. Coloradans love being outdoors. You want to get yourself a Built Bar. Delicious, tasty Built Bar. You can even get one of the new marshmallow puffs. Okay, it's marshmallow covered in 100% chocolate infused with protein. So you're looking at a chocolate and marshmallow, but still they've only got 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. You got the churro ones, which are the best. You got coconut marshmallow and banana cream pie. The regular Built Bars, you got coconut almond, all those. And we have a new special offer for you. Go to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That's LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Welcome back to Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for making us part of your day and your first listen each and every day. Make your second listen Locked On Now. It's got nightly recaps of all the NBA games from all of our local experts. Check it out wherever you get podcasts. Locked On Now. Adam Mares, I feel, have been very critical of Will Barton over the last 3 to 4 weeks. We have slowly been more and more aggressive in our criticism of Will Barton, and we've wondered whether or not he is simply, the word expired has been the word that we've kind of used. Is it just like, hey, it's just kind of like the minutes took its toll and he just simply can't do it. And it's one game, and certainly the defense wasn't great, but Lord Almighty, did Will Barton step up big time in the win over the Lakers. 6 3-pointers for the Reverend Thrill, 25 points, 8 of 12 shooting, 6 threes, a +8, one really nifty dime to Jokic when he could have taken a heat check.
Man, that was a crazy decision and a great pass.
Yeah.
Let me read you off his stat line from the first quarter. 10 minutes and 37 seconds. 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 turnovers, 0 fouls. He played 11 minutes in the first quarter and did not record a stat other than 2 missed shots. So all of that damage that he did in this game came in the second, third, and fourth quarter, which is really impressive. The reason I bring that up, I'm not trying to be tough on Will. This was a great game for him. It was great to see, and it was great to see him bounce back. I watched that first quarter, and my concern level for Barton coming into this game was a 10. After the first quarter, it went up to 11. I was like, oh my God, it's like actually worse than I thought. He's been out there 11 minutes and hasn't even touched the basketball yet, somehow. And then he just snapped. I don't know what it is. Snapped out of it. And of course, he was a late ad. He was questionable, was thinking maybe he wouldn't play, decides to play, and then has that horrible start and then bounces back by just making everything and really being key to the Nuggets here. To me, it was such a great story. I was so glad to see it happen and so glad to see him sort of be a key contributor in a key game.
He made a 3, and then he drew the 3 foul shot at the end of that. And that really did seem to kind of get him loose and get him started.
You're right.
So it was phenomenal to see that. I have been high on Aaron Gordon all year. I've been high on him all year. I think he has consistently given great effort. I think you can, like, there are games. Yeah, I think there are games that are better than others. The last, I would say, 6 weeks, I have not seen, if Gordon has not looked good, it's because his body is just not there and he's too tired. He looks exhausted, but he is always hustling and trying to make moves. Today,
for 6 weeks, you think that's true? I don't think that's true for 6 weeks.
Okay.
I think that's true for like a week and a half. I mean, it's been a little bit, but I mean, he was great. I mean, he was fantastic. Maybe it's the last 6-7 games, but I mean, he had a 7.3 rebound game, not too long, 7-8 games ago. But no, lately, whatever it is.
I meant like, I think the last 6 weeks he's been like, I think that's kind of my point. Is like, I think he's been tired for 6 weeks. I think.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes.
Tired.
Yeah. He hit a lull, like kind of like All-Star break, post All-Star break or something, where you're kind of waiting for him to shift into gear. But I think it's come over the last like 4 or 5 games. I don't know exactly what the number is of games that it's been, but it's been several in a row now and sort of going upward. I mean, last game, of course, he had the 24 points on 9 of 11 shooting, and then he follows it up in this one with 24, 8 and 3 on 9 of 14 shooting. So not just that he's making shots, although it's huge that he's making 3-pointers and looking as comfortable taking 3-pointers as he has been, but also just his bully ball, his willingness to get physical inside, that to me is his greatest strength, just how big and quick he is, that combo, and he utilized it today.
24 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 of 5 from 3, 9 of 14 from the field. So if my math is right, that's what, 6 of 9 looks like. 6 of 9 from 2-point range.
Yeah.
I thought he was terrific. And I want to point this out. Usually when Malone staggers, he staggers with Will Barton or Monte Morris with the second unit. I think because of the Lakers' size or whatever reason, and also just because they were extremely shorthanded.
Yeah, I think it was that.
Malone staggered Gordon with that second unit, and that combination really worked.
It was incredible. And I'm with you. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, there was no Jeff Green tonight, out for personal reasons. I sincerely hope everything's okay with him. We know that he missed the second half of that game against Minnesota. But then also JaMychal Green gets in foul trouble in this game. So this was one of those ones where it was just like, all right, what other option did they have other than to go really small, which this Lakers, you can't do that. They've Carmelo, they've just got so many guys that are big bodied. So I don't know if it was circumstantial or what it was, but I'm with you. I really loved the way he looked, the way he played, and in part, the way he sort of instilled confidence in that second unit. And I thought all those guys played well tonight in that second unit, but he was the one that shined the most.
Davon Reed had a really good game.
Yep.
He made 2 from 3. He made some good plays. He had a nice drive and an assist. Like, he did more than just shoot tonight, which I thought was really good. I thought Austin Rivers in that fourth quarter was really helpful defensively. I thought that he really brought some good things. DeMarcus Cousins with 14 points. That's awesome. Like, honestly, it's like, I don't know, 8 points more than you really need, just because all he's got to do is not get annihilated when he's on the court. That's all you got to do. Right. Don't, as always, you don't have to be a plus. Just don't lose. Don't lose terribly. Bones with 10 points off the bench, 1 of 6 from 3, but was a plus 11, brought the usual energy. Like, Monte struggled from the field, and that was pretty much it. Like, the defense was bad. And that was pretty much the end of, like, the defense was bad. Monte struggled from the field. And other than that, it was a really good game after that first quarter. They played well all throughout. You kind of want to comment that, and you made this point just now, kind of with the guys that were out, that was kind of my thought during the game when JaMychal was struggling. I was kind of like, this is why it hurts when there's these compound injuries, right? Where it's like Jeff's out and you don't have MPJ. So now it's like JaMychal, and you normally be like, all right, well, JaMychal's not working. Let's try Jeff, and maybe Jeff can post up AD and like help out a little bit, like just fill in those minutes there, so it's not quite as bad. Like, you want to be able to alternate between the two. They were pretty shorthanded today. Of course, they weren't without Kendrick Nunn, who obviously makes the Lakers season, according to Anthony Davis. So that's
so dumb.
Boy, that team is my only thing with the Lakers has consistently been this. LeBron got hurt, AD got hurt, but when I was writing them up in the preseason, I was like, this should be okay. Like, they've got 2 stars on even if one of them gets hurt, they'll have 2, so they should be able to carry. And Russell's been worse, but also like I'll just continue to say this. LeBron is coming in every preseason the last 3 years and said the only way we're going to win a championship is if AD is the MVP. And every single year, his outside of the bubble, his play has not lived up to it, and he has not been able to stay on the floor, and that's been an issue. Now, today I actually thought he like toughed it out. He was pretty clearly hurt, like he hurt his foot, and was like playing through it. But his partner was not around, so Lakers definitely the Spurs won tonight. So the magic number for the Spurs is 2. Tragic number for the Lakers is 2. One more loss, one more Spurs win, and it's over.
By the way, the Spurs have Nuggets, Timberwolves, Warriors, Mavericks. Like that's pretty tough. They might not win again. I mean, they'll probably be underdogs in every game.
Yeah, I think so. For sure. I want to make sure that I've got that right.
You are right. They're 2 games up. Who has the tiebreaker there?
Spurs, because of conference record.
Okay.
Yeah, so Spurs 4-0, and they're in. Spurs 3-1, and they're in.
2-2, they're in.
2-2, they're in. Spurs 1-3, and the Lakers, if they lose one game, they're out.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. Because I mean, the Lakers have Phoenix coming up. By the way, in Phoenix. So Phoenix lost tonight to Point Poku. I don't know if you saw this.
Yes, I did.
The Thunder played Poku. He gets his first career triple-double. He was 12 assists. Incredible. But they've lost now 2 in a row. But here's the funny thing. They are tied for the franchise record in wins. Devin Booker didn't play today. They go home with a chance to set the record for most wins in franchise history against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh, man.
So do we think the Lakers are going to win that game?
No.
My money says no. I think that's going to be Phoenix by 1,000. There's nothing Phoenix Suns fans would like to do more than to set an all-time record and knock the Lakers out of the playoffs in the exact same game.
We were talking before the show. Neither of us are particularly moved by this performance versus the Lakers. The Lakers are really bad.
Yeah.
The Nuggets were favored in this game. The Nuggets won. The defense is still horrible. They still can't stop anybody on the perimeter. All those things. But I think that the big thing is just like if they can get. I will just say this: I'm very, very interested in Tuesday. That's what I'll say. I am.
What do you mean by that?
Interested in Tuesday. Well, the Nuggets basically, if the Nuggets were to win that game, it doesn't lock it, right? Like you still got there's a possibility that the Lakers will be eliminated by Wednesday.
Right.
And if the Lakers are eliminated, then clearly they're shutting everybody down for the rest of the
right.
And so that game on Sunday essentially becomes like a formality.
Would love that. I would not mind that one bit. I do not want to have to sweat out the last game of the season.
Like, is it possible that Austin Reeves and I don't know who else is on the Lakers, Malik Monk and them like make a run? Yeah, because Denver is just that kind of a team. But the Nuggets, much like this one, probably still get the win, and that probably secures it, right? It's also possible that the Wolves. Again, I will just continue to say this. I think it's possible the Wolves slip up. That San Antonio game, the Spurs need this. Like the Spurs have a chance to secure their spot. And again, I really want to know what the injury report says tomorrow.
And what's your prediction? First of all, tomorrow, I don't think there'll be a change tomorrow. I think we won't. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it earlier than they have to.
Let me ask you. Let's say that there was going to be a change in the injury report tomorrow. Wouldn't you want to get it out a day early?
Maybe.
Because you would want to be able to make sure that people should probably show up for that game.
Hey man, there you go. Yeah, sell some tickets.
So I mean,
I might buy some tickets tonight. I might buy some tickets, and then if the announcement does come tomorrow, boom.
Here's the big thing: is what they can do is they can just say he's questionable, and then if Tuesday comes and it's like he didn't look good, he didn't feel good after shooting around, he's just not like it. He was really helpful. He could be like, hey, we thought he was questionable. He just couldn't. And like that's like the thing about the questionable designation and how it's used in the NBA. Because if you upgrade somebody from out to questionable, I assume that they're going to play. But it gives you the out in case something happens and they don't feel good enough. So I'm going to be very curious about the injury report that comes out on Monday. And we'll talk about it no matter what it says. So anyway, that game, it'll be interesting to see if this game should not change anyone's opinion about who the Nuggets are. It was really good to be like, oh, hey, Will Barton's not like completely 6 feet under, right? And Aaron stepped up, and Jokic probably again secured the MVP today. It doesn't have to be like a monumental turning point, and maybe that I don't think there's going to be, but there's. I will say this: it doesn't hurt. It's much better than losing today, and so it does. And I will say this: it didn't feel as this loss or this win rather feels better to me than the Pacers or the Hornets win. I'm not sure why, but it does. I felt like in the last 3 quarters they played better than they did in this game.
Seeing Barton bounce back, I was honestly worried that maybe he was lost for the year. I know it sounds like hyperbole, but he was playing so bad and he was down so bad that I just worried was that a tipping point? Like there's no coming back from that. And again, through 1 quarter of this game, I worried even more, but that was a great response. And I really hope it propels him for the rest of this year.
Yeah, I asked you before the game if you were more happy or relieved that they won this game, and you said relieved. And John E in the comments says, I was just relieved that we won. But hey.
I was also happy, though. I have to say, Jokic was really awesome. Barton was really awesome. Aaron Gordon was really awesome. There were cool moments in there.
Yeah, I mean, man, you got well, I got asked by Chad Andrews on the fan postgame show. He asked me, did you ever think in a million years that in a Sunday matinee game in Los Angeles you would hear MVP?
Oh my God!
For Nikola Jokic.
How crazy was that? Love it.
Just absolutely wild. So let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll look at the Western Conference. I'll give you the breakdown. Somebody asked about tiebreakers before. I'll give you the breakdown where everything kind of stands as we head into the final week. Oh boy, the final week of the season. I have so much writing to do. I'm so behind. We'll do that when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. But first, I've got to tell you about Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for all your sports betting needs and info. I did live bet the Lakers today, Adam. I took them at plus 185 after that first quarter. I was just like, they're going to lose the fucking game. So I lost money on that. I did bet the Mavericks live minus 3.5. So I did cover that, which balances out my day. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championship odds, podcasts, and reviews from all the different leagues this season, including you can bet on Nikola Jokic, but you're going to have to lay quite a number, minus 250 or greater. Bet Online is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, scores, and scores. Head to the esports and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet Online, where the game starts. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Final segment for Locked On Nuggets for a Monday. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Make us your second listen, Locked On NBA. I will be on Tuesday. We have an off night tomorrow, so Tony East and I are just going to talk about the playoff race and what's going on there and the MVP. It'll be a fun discussion. Check it out on Locked On NBA. Adams on Fridays. You get the biggest stories in the NBA in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available on all platforms. Okay, so let me run down what happened tonight. So the Wolves won, so they keep pace. They took care of business versus the Houston Rockets. There was a question earlier in the chat that asked about the tiebreaker scenario if it winds up being Utah and Denver and Minnesota in a 3-way tie. Here's what you need to know. The Nuggets lose all sorts of tiebreakers. Turns out you need to win your division games, like I always say. It's a big deal. If it's Wolves, Jazz, Nuggets, the Nuggets are in the play-in. They're in the 7th spot because they lost 4-0 to the Jazz and lost 3-1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So they lose like every single scenario in that case. As far as the Jazz go, the loss yesterday for the Jazz in another 20-point collapse, dear God, does now put some interesting spins on the scenarios. There is a scenario where the Nuggets can actually wind up in the 5, which is where they are now. They're currently matched up with the Dallas Mavericks after the Warriors won tonight. They're 2 back of the Mavericks. They're not catching there. The Nuggets are not going to get higher than 5. They're a half game up on the Jazz. So it is possible here. The Jazz control their own destiny. If the Jazz lose 1 more, then Denver will control its destiny for the 5 seed. I will just say this. I don't know why you want it. Do you want Dallas and then the Suns if you do manage to get past Dallas? Or do you want the Warriors and then the Grizzlies? None of these options are good.
None of them are good. I almost don't care anymore, honestly, Matt. I don't know if the Nuggets will. Phoenix is the team that feels the most hopeless, but I just wonder if Denver's Memphis looks pretty tough. Golden State is they're two teams. Are they going to be the good one? Are they a week off going to get them all healthy? So I don't know if Denver cares enough to like really try to rig it.
No,
also,
they're not going to manipulate. They won't manipulate. I'll say that. They've done it the last 2 years. They will not do it again.
And also the last game of the game you would manipulate is that Lakers game. And to your point, if they rest their guys, the Lakers do, like, how do you manipulate that one?
Yeah.
Might not be able to.
The final stretch for the Jazz, they face the Memphis Grizzlies tomorrow.
Man, I wonder why. Yeah, Memphis, I guess they didn't try last time and they won.
Yeah. So, look, if you read Tony Jones over at The Athletic, it is concerning. It is not just like, oh, hey, this stuff happened and it's no big deal. Like, whatever, it's late, all these types of things. This is from Tony Jones's article after the Jazz blew another 20-point lead to the Warriors without Steph Curry.
My God.
The Utah Jazz are a broken team. No scheme can put them together again. No amount of coaching or cajoling. No amount of time spent playing terrific basketball in the first 40 minutes of a game. If you thought Tuesday's loss at the hands of the Los Angeles Clippers was something, a game the Jazz led by as many as 25 points, Utah asked you to hold its proverbial beer. And that's before recapping the loss to the Warriors.
Wow.
So that team doesn't trust each other. Say what you want about the Denver Nuggets, and I think that there are certainly times when Jokic has to be frustrated by what I don't know that been surrounded by. That feels harsh. By the level that his teammates haven't been able to reach this season. Maybe that's the best way to put it. I still think the Nuggets trust each other. I think inherently they play together. They don't play independently. And I think a lot of that is like Jokic gives them the feeling that they can win any game.
For sure.
And so the Jazz do not have that. They do not trust each other.
Yeah.
And so they're really in an implosion. So the Jazz have the Grizzlies, the Thunder, which, okay, you can say like, well, it's the Thunder. The Thunder beat the Suns tonight.
They got Poku.
Did you see Poku get the rip through on Chris Paul?
No, I heard about it though. How funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Then the Jazz face the Suns. Now the Suns are almost definitely going to rest entirely in that game.
Maybe.
But Phoenix has got a lot of you in them this season. They got a lot of like, no, we want to make everyone we want to show you.
Yeah.
And their final games versus the Blazers. Okay, that's a win for sure. The key here is that if Denver were to go 3-0 this week, if they can beat the Spurs, the Grizzlies, and the Lakers, and then Jazz lose one more time, then Denver can finish 5. Again, I personally think that you should probably, like, if it's up to you, you should opt. Like, here's the thing. You should want Utah to win. You should want to win and Utah to win. So Utah gets that 5 spot and you take that 6. I still think your odds are better. If Steph got reevaluated and is not going to be back before the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like 3 games, it opens the window more. If you want the Nuggets, here's the question is like, if you want the Nuggets to go further in the playoffs, like the fans, I think definitely are. There are like we have them in this comment section. Like there are fans, I think that legitimately are like, I just want to get through this season and then focus on next year. Like, okay, we made it. All these type of things.
All of this, honestly, Matt, this posturing and like who they play or this or that. To me, like I know we've been talking about it a lot. Dallas is hard. Golden State's hard. Utah's probably not so as hard, but they're not going to face them. And then the second round, Memphis is a killer and Phoenix is a killer. Like Denver just has no good options. So I'm less concerned. I'm more concerned with, I really think that this Tuesday game is a big one for the Jamal Murray return. Could he return just for the playoffs? Like, yes, I think that's a real possibility that maybe he doesn't return. The playoffs don't start for 2 weeks, so you get 2 more weeks to buy. But I just feel like there's not an expectation, but a hope that we get a Murray update and that Murray plays on Tuesday. And if that's the case, forget the matchups. I just want to see what Denver looks like in their 3 opportunities to get him on the court before the playoffs begin.
So you definitely like pivoted to next season.
No, it's not about pivoting to next year. I'm still here. I'm just saying that I'm more concerned now with, is this going to be the Nuggets with Murray? Like, I'm just more concerned if that's the storyline. And by the way, also Michael Porter, who's just, I mean, who knows? Let me ask you that. Scale of 1 to 10, what would be your surprise level if you find out tomorrow or Tuesday that Murray is playing?
Oh, Murray?
Yeah.
0.
You would not be at all surprised.
No.
What about Michael Porter also playing?
8.
It's so weird to me. It's so weird. I mean, I'm with you. Like I understand it. But it's just the weirdest thing.
Look, I think there's a possibility that that both of them pop.
They both play.
That both of them pop on the injury report. Questionable.
I think you would be much more surprised if Porter was also there.
Look, I want to be very clear on this. I don't have any reporting that is like, I am not sitting here reporting Jamal Murray is going to play in the game Tuesday. Okay, I'm not going to get
same. Yep.
Like I'm not going to get that scoop, and you're not going to get that scoop. Adrian Wojnarowski or Mike Singer are the only 2 options for who's going to get that.
Oh, it's Woj. A story that big is Woj. Are you kidding?
Woj. Yeah. So that, like, again, my prediction has always been that there will be a tweet 15 minutes before the injury report from Adrian Wojnarowski, and then the injury report will pop. We're at a point based off of everything that it's like, I think the only thing that they're really up against is time. If the season was 2 weeks longer, I'd be like, oh, they're definitely going to be back. Right? Mm-hmm. It's just like a matter of like, can you get them back in time? Is it worth getting them back in time? All those types of things. So if the way it's been presented and told consistently is that it's entirely those guys' call. Those guys are the ones that are making that decision. And from what we understand, the comments after that game on Friday night were exceptional. Like, those were exceptional. It's really funny because I could tell that you saw the Yoke comment, and we're just like, oh, well, when Joker was like, well, I only want him to come back if he's 100%.
Paired with the maybe we're just not that good or whatever his comment was. Like,
yeah, it was a down night, right? But I personally, Michael Malone being like, keep hope alive.
That was
Michael Malone is not a feel good.
He's not a keep hope alive guy.
Sure. He is not the guy that, like, in the trench is going to be like, we're going to make it out of this. He's the guy that's like, everything is terrible and we're going to die here, but we're going to go down fighting. That's his thing.
Yeah.
So for him to say that, to me, is very indicative of where the situation is. And then you have the fact that Monte very specifically was like, he's there mentally. That to me was like, that's a big deal.
And I think that's a shift from where we were, by the way. Like, in my opinion, I mean, who knows? Again, we're reading the tea leaves, but maybe that was that part of it. It's just like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's see. I mean, we'll find out. We're 48 hours away from finding out. Maybe less. Maybe we're less.
Jonathan says, I wish Singer would get it. I wish I would get it. I want to fucking scoop sometime. I've been covering the team for a decade. Help me out here. So then let's talk about this week. All right, Spurs, Grizzlies, Lakers. All right, buddy. What's your prediction?
2-1.
Which ones?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, well, but here's why. Because if they win the first 2, maybe they lose the last one just because that game ended up being less important or whatever. If they lose the first one, they probably win the next 2. If they win the next one, they maybe lose to the Memphis. So I don't know. It's circumstantial, but I think Denver will figure out a way to. I watch Jokic play, man, these last 5 games, and I just go, you know what? He can do it. I just think he can. He just knows exactly how much is needed, and hopefully he brings it against Jakob Poeltl tomorrow or Tuesday.
Thank you, Robert, for informing me that the peanut is neither a pea nor a nut. I appreciate that, buddy. That's scoop. Final one for you. Does Jokic winning this MVP, what do you think it changes if he wins it?
It changes, man. That may be a whole show, to be honest with you. I think it changes a lot. First of all, historically, when we look back, one of my things that I fear, I don't know why I fear this. I don't know why it matters, but I do worry, like 15, 20 years from now, when we look back, I just don't want Jokic to be a guy that people act like wasn't dominant. I just don't want it to be one of those ones like, come on, look at him. I mean, back in the day, this or that. And like, he's absolutely dominant. And I think that if you get 2 MVPs, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, man, that's a very short list of players to ever win 2 MVPs. And this guy was one of them. This guy was a killer. So I think it elevates sort of how he'll be remembered. On the negative side, and maybe even officials, like this or that, like it just elevates, You get respect when you're a 2-time MVP. But I think the negative side is that people are going to be gunning for him even more than they already do. Like people will be coming for his next.
Well, like I said this today, like I'll put this. I thought there was zero chance they would vote for him a second year in a row. Like
the voters?
Yeah, let me talk about that for a minute. I track this stuff very intently. Like I care about this. I had to make a decision when I was at CBS that with the MVP of when you do this stuff every single day of your life, you can go two ways. You have to have things that you're just like, I'm not going to care about that. I've decided to stop caring about All-Star because I'm just like, wait, I hate the All-Star game. Why would I care about this? Like all NBA is what matters. So I don't care about it. I decided with the MVP to care about it. And that's why I started covering it obsessively. And so like today, like I had a comment where I was like, look, I don't think the Nuggets have played great the last couple of weeks. And I think that matters whether it's Jokic's fault or not. Like I'm trying to determine like this is razor thin to me between Jokic and Giannis. That's how good Giannis has been. You have to be fucking incredible to be as good as Jokic. And I think that's how good Giannis has been. The other guy I think is behind.
I think everybody has that now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, everybody.
I really do. Like just in seeing how people talk about it. But here's the thing: Tim Duncan, 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
Steph Curry, 2 MVPs. Karl Malone, 2 MVPs. Giannis, 2 MVPs. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis adds it to it. I wouldn't be surprised if Jokic adds to it. Just it puts you in a class of player where you're like, you know what? And at the end of the day, if Jokic does get a championship or 2, at the end of the day, his resume is going to stack up, and you're going to go, wow, these numbers are incredible. By the way, Ryan Blackburn, our guy, had a stat that's maybe the best of all. It says Jokic has 72 points and 14 rebounds left to go before he joins, or actually invents, the 2,000 point, 1,000 rebound, 500 assist season club. Like that would be incredible. Those are just counting stats, and they're the 3 main ones. If you're the first to ever do something like that, then
Jonathan mentions that only 15 players have multiple MVPs. That's a great point too.
How many?
Only 15 players have multiple MVPs.
You start to get into like George Karl thinks Jokic has a chance to be a top 10, certainly top 20 player. I think he has a chance to be a top 20 player. You start getting into it and you go, hey man, that's a big award. That's a big, like, shrink the pool down. Yes, there's probably other guys that were good enough to win, but maybe didn't because of Michael Jordan or LeBron or what have you. But you start to shrink it down really, really small when you talk about who dominated a regular season 2 times the way Jokic has. Very, very short list.
Yeah. And it definitely, I think, will change the perception of him. It does put more pressure. It comes with more pressure.
I don't think Jokic feels that pressure.
Yeah, no. Not for, let me rephrase that. It comes with more pressure for those that care about the public's persona stuff.
Respect Twitter going to be out of hand next year for sure.
Yeah. Like I think this is more about, honestly, it's more about Nuggets fans. That's the thing. Like Joker doesn't care.
He doesn't
want the award, doesn't care about the award. No, let me change that. Jokic is fine if he doesn't win the award. Is that accurate to say? Like he could secretly want it.
Right.
But if he doesn't get it, is he going to be like bitter and angry?
I don't think so.
No. And so, he wants to win a championship because he wants to win a championship. But if for those of you that battle online in the name of Nikola Jokic, the standard will be raised. Like it's just going to be. But this has always been my thing though, is look, I am very sensitive to the concept of like guys that just put up regular season numbers, right?
Yeah. Jokic not that. Jokic's not that. And I don't hear that from anybody earnestly. I do like this comment though. Nick Wright is 100% going to make the argument that he's the worst back-to-back MVP in history. Yep. Which it's like when he made he's the worst MVP ever or whatever argument last year, it like sucked because it felt like he's devaluing it. But when you say the worst back-to-back MVP, it's like you could be like, Michael Jordan is the worst 6-time champion in all of sports. You're like, all right.
The point that I was trying to get to initially, and I do think this matters, is I will tell you my perspective on the voters. They did not want to vote for him the first time. And honestly, they did not want to vote for him a second time. Right. He is not like narrative is way less of a thing than it used to be. People really overrate that. They're like, it's just a narrative award. No. It was a narrative award when it was mostly driven by TV people. It's no longer that. Like The Athletic has I think 25% of the vote. And those are all pretty high quality writers. They have a ton. They have a ton of the voters. ESPN has a big chunk of it. The Ringer has a big chunk of it. Like Dan Devine and Rob Mahoney are not sitting here obsessed with the narrative. They're not like, well, this is a really good story.
That's a good point.
Like the voting block has changed. I will just tell you though, like Luka was the favorite coming into the year, and KD was up there. And I honestly still.
Oh yeah, Jokic was like way down the line. He was like seventh. Yeah,
like
seventh best or something. Yeah.
But Jokic has been so good, you cannot deny him.
I think here's a funny question. That's what will Jokic be next year coming into this? Let's say he wins it this year. What will he be next year? What were the odds? Where will he rank? I don't care I don't care the odds though. Like where will he? How many players will be ahead of him?
Luka's going to be won by a wide margin. Giannis will be up there, and Embiid will be up there higher than him. KD.
I think KD will be up there higher.
Yes, because I think KD wins it if he doesn't get hurt. That's how great KD is.
But that's my point. That last part there is kind of big.
That's true. That's fair. He'll probably be fifth.
I don't know. Ja Morant.
Ja won't have better odds than him. Steph. It'll be those five, and then probably
Steph. Maybe, I guess if they're healthy, they got their whole squad. Yeah.
All
right. Maybe I was going to say next year. I think his odds will be higher, but maybe not. Maybe they'll be low.
No, again. They won't be.
But my point though is I do think that it felt almost surprising to some people to see him dominate again the way he dominated this year, and I think next year it will not surprise people.
Yeah, and look,
they might not vote for him, but they'll be like, "Hey,
we made this point before. Like, for every Nick Wright that makes everyone mad, there's 10 people that have been like, no, you got to respect this guy.
True. It's so true.
Like NBA TV in particular, the former players, like Isaiah Thomas is like, look at what this guy does. Like up and down the number of former players and coaches and like legends that are just like, that guy's insanely good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you guys making this part of your day. Hope you guys have a great week. We got an echo going on. Have a great week. Make sure to check out the YouTube page, like, subscribe. Have yourselves an awesome week. We'll be back tomorrow night with another episode previewing Tuesday night's game, hopefully with a twist. We'll see what happens. We'll keep you updated. Make sure to follow Adam on Twitter at Adam_Mares. If you don't already follow me on Twitter at HB Basketball. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.